boy was just a little nearsighted, but the doctor thinks he's dying. He deliberately handed the boy his cane, but even with the cane close at hand, it took the boy several attempts to grasp it, which made House even more sure of his judgment. The boy was suffering from a form of lipogranuloma that had only been seen in 200 cases worldwide, so he sent his men to get the boy a colonoscopy. Everyone thought he was crazy to make such a serious diagnosis based on blurred vision, and the test showed that the boy did not have lipogranuloma. But then he made an even more outrageous decision. He asked his subordinates to do a kidney biopsy on the boy. The subordinates refused on the spot. To perform such a dangerous test on a completely unfounded basis, it's the same as murder. But House didn't say anything. He went to his office and opened the dusty safe, and from the deepest recesses, he pulled out a medical record. It turned out that 12 years ago, House met an old man in the same condition as the boy. The old man died after experiencing 7 symptoms in one day. House couldn't even find the cause. Years of soul-searching had led him to think it was lipogranuloma, but the boy just ruled it out. If the boy and the old man had the same disease, so according to the old man's order of onset, the boy would now be at the 3rd sign of kidney failure. To Joan's surprise, the boy's urine had indeed turned brown. It was a sign of kidney failure, but what could have caused the symptoms? After some discussion, their subordinates agreed that it was lymphoma, but a CT scan showed no lymphoma in the boy's body, and according to the old man's case, the next symptom was liver failure. House went ahead and put the boy on liver medication. At least it would buy the doctors time to make a diagnosis. Although the liver was saved for now, the boy had a new problem. He started having trouble breathing, so fast that before the doctors could react, he couldn't breathe at all. That means his lungs were failing fast. The doctors had to intubate him immediately to save his life. What's even more frightening, lung failure is the last symptom before an old man dies, which means that if the cause is not found and treated within the next hour, the boy will die. Even at 3 o'clock in the morning, Hauser had to call in all the specialists to the hospital. The consensus was that Kawasaki's disease was the most likely cause. The disease eats away at the blood vessels and prevents the blood from getting to the organs. Maybe that's why the boy's organs are failing one after another. But an ultrasound of the boy's heart, there was no blood clotting, which means the boy doesn't have Kawasaki's disease. Suddenly they found a tiny mass in the boy's right atrium, something the old man hadn't seen before, which means the young boy is more resistant than the old man. Now all they have to do is biopsy the boy's heart to find the cause, but the boy was too weak. Despite House's caution, something happened. Before the sample was even drawn, the vitals were beeping rapidly. The boy's heart stopped. Doctors tried to revive him for 10 minutes, but after pulling him back from the brink, House started taking more samples right away. Jones called him a madman, because now the slightest mistake could kill the boy, but all he got in return was an angry scolding from House, and told him to get lost. House managed to get a small sample out, but before he could be happy, when they realized there was a serious problem, they came up with a total of 7 possible diseases, but there were only enough samples to support 3 tests. 3 out of 7. They decided to test for sarcoma and cytomegaly, the most likely, but the biopsies showed neither. Now they're down to the last sample. There are 5 possible diseases, 1 out of 5. If they choose the wrong, boy can only wait for death. House didn't know what to do but went to the rooftop to stare. Is this a repeat of what happened 12 years ago? But Wilson came to brag to him, said he had cheated at the gambling table and won. It was these words that inspired House. He immediately asked his subordinates to use the last sample to test for lipogranuloma. They thought he was nuts, because lipogranuloma had been ruled out in the first colon biopsy. It wasn't even one of the remaining 5 possible conditions, but House was adamant. He thought that at the time of the colon biopsy, the disease hadn't even progressed to the intestines. That's why it wasn't detected, despite the reluctance of his subordinates. But at House's insistence, they started the biopsy test for lipogranuloma. As the brilliant red color appeared, House was right. The regret of 12 years ago was atoned for. The boy was restored to health after targeted treatment.